Hi everybody, welcome to the course. I'm Michelle Mars, I'm your lecturer for this trimester. Hello and welcome. I am talking to you from the Sydney campus, which is the health campus, and as you can see we've got some work on the walls here which has been done by some of the naturopathy and nutrition students. This is one of the classrooms. This is actually the laboratory classroom, and a window here in case any of you are planning a trip here. We've got a few trees in the street, so most of you, I'm not sure which campus that you are enrolled on, but if you are coming to Sydney for your campus course, this is the campus that you will be coming on to. This course is about communication skills and also about counselling skills. It's kind of a combination of the two. It's divided into six different modules. I've put something called a Padlet at the bottom of the module 1, which has got just an introduction to the course and me and some important information that you need to know, like if you get stuck at any point during the year and it's not something that's kind of academic about which you can talk to me about that. But if it's not something that's kind of academic to do with the course, but something more generic, like you need help with using the library, or you're not too sure how Blackboard works, or you need some help with your assignment, or you're not too sure how to reference, all those kinds of things. In the Padlet at the bottom of the page there are contact details for people who you can contact in those circumstances. Now, just to be 100% clear here, there is a compulsory on-campus weekend for this course, and if you don't attend it then you fail the subject, so please check your dates and see if you can come. I mean, of course, if you're sick and you have a doctor's certificate, that's a different story. You can probably you probably would be allowed to do that in another trimester, but for any other reason, under any other circumstance, you actually really need to be here, so do make sure of that. The other thing that I want to see is plenty of discussion forum participation from you. That's a really good indicator to me about whether you're going to pass or fail the course, is how much you are engaged and how much you participate. So if you're having trouble with that, or if you don't know what to write, have a look at what other people write. So you can send it to me to have a look at before you post it if you want. I've got my email address in there for you. So just, try and be engaged right from the start, because it is the biggest indicator of success. Trust me. I would like to share, I'd like to do a little bit more of a chat about what we're actually going to be doing in the course. So I have done a slideshow here for you, which you can see, introducing the different modules. So in week 1, we're doing interpersonal communication skills to facilitate engagement and counselling. So this is really getting you to think about how you communicate at the moment and what skills you might need to develop in order to communicate better in your personal life, but also in a counselling situation. So one of the questions I start off with is trying to think about all the different kinds of communication that there are in the world. So of course we have verbal and non-verbal communication. We use body language, all sorts of ways that we communicate, which, some are more obvious and some are less obvious. Things that we wear, other things that we use to kind of symbolise who we are. All these things are communicating particular things. So have a look around in the Padlet. I'd start from there if I was you, and then of course there are all the other resources and skills test things and exercises for you to do on the Blackboard page, on the main Blackboard page. Okay, in the second week we're going to look at psychodynamic, existential and gestalt theories and approaches to counselling. So we'll go through each of those one by one. Just different ways of working with clients. It's like you will be more attracted to some than the other initially. You probably know a little bit about, psychodynamic, existential or gestalt theories. You probably all heard of an existential crisis. So what is an existential crisis? Most of us, when we're thinking about that, think about when people have like a midlife crisis or they have some other kind of crisis about who am I and what am I doing. So that's a little bit about what existentialism is about. Gestalt is very much in the here and now, so looking at what's happening for people in the here and now, and of course psychodynamic looks a little bit at what's going on underneath the surface as well. In Module 3, we look at person-centred and narrative approaches. So person-centred therapy is all about giving your full concentration and really using those interpersonal communication skills, things like, you know, micro-encourages, and reflecting back to the person what they've said so that they know that you are listening to them. And this is one of the kind of, I think it's probably the core of most kind of counselling theories, in that you need to have all these skills in order to be able to, you need to be doing all the sorts of things that you need to do for person-centred therapy in any kind of therapeutic approach. We're going to look at a postmodern approach this week as well, which is narrative therapy, which is basically what it sounds like. It's all about telling stories and about thickening positive stories and about trying to get people to move away from the problem-saturated story, which really just entrenches the negative things that are happening in their life, and try and think more positively about things, but from their own perspective. Different to kind of positive psychotherapy, very different. In the following week, we're going to have a look at another postmodern approach, which is solution-focused counselling, which also is about helping people to come to a more positive idea from the future. Solution-focused counselling tends to be briefer than narrative approaches, but there are a lot of things that are in common with the two approaches. The miracle question is one thing that they have in common. So asking your client if a miracle were to happen and you could just do or be exactly what you want to do or be, how would that be for you? What changes would you make? So that can be a really powerful question to ask of your clients sometimes as well. So we'll have a little look at that now. Then motivational interviewing. This is about learning or working with your client to kind of find out where they're at and either move them on from just having a desire to change to actually being in a position where they might actually make some change, using the skills and the strengths that they have to help them to come up with solutions for the problems that they bring to counselling. We'll do family counselling theory, and we'll also do something about ethics here as well. And then the last one is looking at cultural issues. So choosing a theoretical approach, bearing in mind cultural issues. So culture isn't just about ethnicity. Culture is also about LGBTI communities and other cultural kind of differentiated communities that you might come across or that you might find yourself in counselling in. The kind of approach that you use can be very, very important if you have someone who's from like a very small minority who you don't know very much about. It's like choosing to use something like CBT, which is a more generic therapeutic approach, which has been developed, of course, in the first world. If you have, for example, a refugee from Ethiopia, for example, or Myanmar, would it be appropriate to use a generic kind of CBT type therapy? Well, probably not. You probably need to use something which was more person-centered or person-focused. So just these kinds of things is what we will be talking about in the final module. We have an assessment coming up, but not till week 5, so I'm not going to actually talk about that yet. That is actually just a PowerPoint where you talk about what you have learned to date. So you have a couple of issues that you need to identify, and then you do some PowerPoints and you just talk through that. So that would be your first assessment. I'm the only person that sees that. Don't worry, it is not a public assessment. And the other thing is that you can see my face here as I'm talking on PowerPoint, but when I assess you, you will just be talking. I won't be actually watching you as well. So that's all good. We can get together and have a session maybe in about week 3 if you would like. Let's see if we can find a time where we can all kind of get together and have a collaborate session. If we can't do that, then maybe you could email me some questions and then I can just do another recording for you. So we'll work that out as we go along. I'll put something in the discussion forums for you to respond to see what's going to suit you best, because at the end of the day, I want to be putting my energies into things that are going to help you to pass this course. So let's all work together. The more engagement we have between us, the more we work together, the more we talk things through, the more likely we are all to do well. We tend to think of education as an individual thing, but in my experience, it's the classes where everybody gets together and everyone contributes, where everyone does the best. So I'm going to stop now and I will post this to the discussion forum. And I look forward to seeing you after the 5th of June. Okay, we'll see you for now. Bye. If you want me to talk to you, if you want to talk to me or something, if you want to have like a Skype or a Zoom session with me, if you want to have a group Zoom session, whatever, start kind of emailing me so that I can start setting something up. Okay, bye everybody.